And I was telling y'all the story of growing up with little Chrissy. And somebody in the chat said that they had a Chrissy doll too, and her brother took it apart to see how the hair grew. You know what? I think about that. Someone said that the Chrissy doll is going for $500 right now on eBay. I didn't even know till this week. I was researching last week because of our guest that there was a white Chrissy doll. I didn't know that Chrissy came in white because I only had a black Chrissy doll. And but unfortunately, so many of us were not raised with those options, and something happened. I feel like something happened maybe in the 90s or the 80s. Somebody failed us. And then that damn doll test that they do. Well, this happened to Yelitsa as well. She got a baby doll when she was a young girl, and she said that she wanted the pretty one. She wanted a pretty one. It wasn't the pretty one because her parents gave her a black doll. Something happened. But now she is out here making sure that there's never a chance for your melanated children to not have a melanated doll. Let me welcome the founder and creative director of Healthy Roots Dolls. Let me welcome Miss Yelitsa Jean Charles. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming. And she brought so she has a little doll with her, little brown tingly quingly hair with the little overalls. What is her name?
This is Zoe, and this is the first doll that we created.
Okay. Now, I read somewhere you did this with a Kickstarter program, with a fellowship, with a grant from Brown. Like you, you just did this. You weren't even 30. You're out there. So walk us through first of all, why did you make this the move?
Well, for me, it was inspired by a lot of the conversations I was having in my undergrad and the experiences that I had growing up. So, like you said, the fact that when my parents gave me that doll, I said it wasn't the pretty one. And that's something that stuck with me throughout my childhood into adulthood. But when I got to college, I distinctly remember having this experience unpacking my hair and like learning to love my natural hair. I watched one of my friends cut off all her hair. And when I was like, girl, what are you doing? She was like, oh, I've just really never seen how my hair grows out of my scalp. And then I said the same thing to myself and went through my own journey of like, let's learn to take care of our natural hair. And why do I change it or why do I straighten it? And then, being inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and activism, looking around at my classmates at this predominantly white institution where we're making art, asking myself, what can I do that one will help me make money because I'm paying a lot of money to be here, but also fulfills my heart of doing this social impact work. And I thought, adults kind of suck, but I could probably do something with kids. And that's when I decided to focus on children's media and develop this project in class where I redesigned Rapunzel, turned her into a little brown girl because I wanted to see that growing up. And that started a conversation with a lot of classmates where it's like, oh yeah, I never had black dolls, or I didn't know how to do my hair, or this, that, and the third. And I realized, what if I put those two things together of learning how to love your hair and how to do it into a doll, and then made that for little brown girls.
Okay, well, Rapunzel's still problematic because she's trapped in a castle and waiting for a prince to climb up her hair to save her. But that notwithstanding, I was listening to Laurie Daniel Favors today, and she said her mother learned how to do hair braiding grass, which I thought was amazing. Like the hair that grows out of our head and how it's adorned and how it has historically been a source of power, whether we're talking about Samson and his locks or all of the queens of Africa and all of the fashions of the cornrows and all of the Bantu knots and all of that, right? Come out of a tradition of expression, but also some of it's very spiritual. People attach a spirituality to hair. So I'm looking at Zoe. Zoe has a natural hair. Just it looks like she's got like a curly C4. I don't even want to get into that, but yes. So how did you what is the source of the hair? How did you make the determination to have her hair look like that?
So we started with this doll. I'm actually looking at the two other ones, which I'll show you. But when I was doing my research, I was thinking about the black dolls really only had straight hair back in the day. Like they weren't making the different face molds, they weren't making the different hair textures. And when I actually was doing the research to start the company, I looked at the Mammy Clark doll test and the ways that children ascribe negative attributes to the brown doll versus the white doll. And that's why I decided this is going to be my medium. I'm going to do it in toys because toys influence how kids think, act, and see themselves. But then I'm also going to design a product that isn't currently on shelves, that has a wide nose, that has full lips, that has textured hair that you can actually wash and style. So making sure that when we're working with the factory, like there was a point where I was getting like all these little doll wigs and like all these different materials and like washing them. Like my apartment was full of these little samples. And it's like, it has to be right because no one else did it right. But I'm going to do it because I want children to have that experience, to see themselves on toy shelves, which our customers do now. And then I decided that early on, I always wanted it to be more than just one doll. I wanted to represent the beauty of the diaspora. So we have two other dolls, which I'll actually show you. So this is Zoe the OG. And then we have Guyana right here. So she's got a darker skin tone, kinky hair. She's got very full lips, two-tone lips, which I thought was really cute. And then we have Marisol with a lighter skin tone and a slightly looser texture, just so that we have that diversity so people have options. Because does the doll look exactly like every kid? No, but it's about the ability to see yourself.
Now, your little girl can braid that hair, can wash that hair, can style that hair?
All those things. We always recommend doing it with supervision because kids can get really crazy, but the same shampoo, the same conditioner you use on your own scalp and hair, you can use on the dolls. And that's what it's designed for, is to actually get girls to be comfortable with their hair. Because when we were doing research and I was asking people like, why do we use perms, or why do we straighten our hair, or why do we tuck our hair under wigs and things like that? They're saying, I don't have time. I do whatever my mom did, or I don't know what to do. So what if we put these things into children's hands and gave them the opportunity to play and learn so that they don't feel that same way growing up?
I love that. Now I see a blow dryer here. Can you blow dry this straight? Can you have straight styles?
So we do not. No.
Okay.
That is not recommended. I know people will ask us all the time. It's like, you're going to ruin this doll. No, it's purely just water and products.
Okay. All right. Zoe, Gianna, and Marisol. Gianna,
Yeah.
Gaiian, Guyana. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna show you something. You got a typo on your website. We're gonna fix that off mic though. That's okay. All right. So where did you get this name?
Some of them are inspired by people in my life. Zoe was this very beautiful young woman that I knew in my undergrad. And I think I was her, what's it called when you're introducing orientation leader. So I was her orientation leader. She had great energy. She was so confident. And I was like, I like her. I like that name. I think I'm going to use that. I want my doll to have those attributes of that person. And then Guyana is also somebody I know. And then Marisol is actually a play on like the Spanish language, where Mar is ocean and then Sol is sun. And she's our more earthy character. That's part of her backstory. So like, that's perfect for her.
And they have backstories. Okay. So what was going on in your culture, in your home, when your parents gave you a black doll and you thought it wasn't pretty?
You know, it was a lot of media consumption. When I look back at what I grew up with, there's two examples that stand out to me of like young Black girls that I remember. Was one, Destiny's Child, and then two, Brandy as Cinderella. Those are the two things that stuck out to me the most. But like a lot of the other stuff, like you know, the pop princesses like Britney and Christina, and like the Barbie movies, the Barbie dolls, and you go into the toy stores and you don't really see those dolls that look like you. Those are like all those things. That's what I was consuming. And I would see all the women around me like wearing straight hair, going to the salon and getting perms, like blowing their Dominican blowouts. The Dominican blowouts was a religious practice in my household. I never saw any women, I didn't even know box braids were a thing until I got to like high school. Box braids, like such a simple style. And then going to school and seeing the way that other girls were wearing their hair and the influence there. And you know what, at a certain point, telling my mom, I don't want to wear braids anymore. I want a blowout. Like I want this. And it makes me really sad because there's so many beautiful things I could have been doing that I didn't embrace at a young age, that now I'm like trying to catch up. I'm wearing the barrettes, I'm getting the cornrows, I'm doing all the things I didn't give myself the space or grace to do before.
And today you have purple hair, which is
yes,
also,
I do.
Yes, I love it. We're talking with Yelitsa Jean-Charles. She is the creator of Healthy Roots Dolls, healthyrootsdolls.com. And you can follow her at Roots Dolls and the Yelitsa, Yelitsa, Yelitsa. Okay, so walk us through, because I'm always about the anatomy of something. You have an idea. I feel like people have great ideas and then they don't know how to execute. So,
Yeah.
where did you go? Did you do a business plan? Did you go get money from family members? And then where does one even start to build a doll?
All great questions. So I studied at the Rhode Island School of Design and was very fortunate that they actually had a partnership with Brown University for a grant competition where there would be 12 students, two from RISD. They would give you $4,000 for the summer to work on a social impact project. And that was the very first moment where like I got an email and I didn't allow myself to say no before I could say yes to an opportunity. I talked to people who had participated. I talked to the program directors, and once I felt confident enough, I started doing my research. So I went from this class project to like, how do I actually turn this into a product and pitch it to them so that they understand what my vision is to bring this to life and give me that $4,000 to get started. And then another thing I did was I actually took control of my education to a certain degree because you're paying to learn what you want to learn. So I asked my professors, like, can I make my project in this class about this company? Can I do my branding design for this company that I'm building? And that's how I made my first logo, first website. And then once I got into the program, the social impact program, they taught me about entrepreneurship, helped me with my business model, and introduced me to my first mentors and advisors, and ultimately led to me getting into my first accelerator program in Boston, Massachusetts, where we were the youngest group of people. We were also all young Black. And people were saying things like, you need to drop out of college to focus on this full time. And I'm like, I am a first generation Asian American. My parents have worked very hard. You don't just drop out of school. It's not how that works. And so financing was something we talked a lot about. And I realized, people would look at this as like, it's just a Black doll. It's just a Black girl making a Black doll. There's no business here. There's no market here, even though Black people have trillions in buying power, even if they were the only customers. So I decided to go to Kickstarter and use social media to help find our customers and our audience that helped us raise $50,000 to get started. And that's how we ultimately took off, is not saying no before I could say yes, and then going to people that our story resonated with who wanted to amplify it and support it.
So, are you still in school? Yelitsa, you're out? You graduated, right? I'm imagining.
Several years ago.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm just making sure that you did get that degree. And now
Absolutely.
is this your only business? Is this the focus of your career?
Yep, this is my full-time job. We
Love
raised
it.
$1.1 million in 2021 after doing $500,000 in pitch competitions and grants, grit and hustle. And then we hired a team, launched into Target and Macy's, and launched new products and just focusing to give
What?
back to the community in any way we can.
So you're in Target, and where else?
Macy's and camp stores.
I love it. Okay. And you just turned 30? I think I read
I
that
am
somewhere.
not 30.
Okay. You didn't turn 30 yet. You're still not
No.
30. You're still under 30. Y'all, she's not even 30. Come on through. Yelitsa, I'm so proud of you. 866-801-8255. This is what I'm talking about. And as a person that grew up with only Black dolls, this generation deserves representation. But not just that. I mean, you should see yourself. And little girls playing in hair and figuring it out and having a doll that you could actually do the hair and barrettes and the whole nine. This is genius. Appreciate it.